You were in the kitchen alone and you said out loud to nobody, okay, okay, right. And then you heard yourself and you did the thing, the quick glance towards the door, the small internal check of whether anyone was home. You've been doing this your whole life, narrating your own steps, rehearsing a conversation to an empty room, muttering, come on, at a loading screen like it can hear you, saying your own name in a tone of profound disappointment. And somewhere along the way, you learn to keep it quiet because talking to yourself is what unstable people do. It's the shorthand for someone losing it. You've seen it in 100 films. The mutterer is never the one who's fine. So you moved it inward. You kept the volume down. You saved it for the car. By the end of this video, you're going to understand what your brain is actually doing when you talk to yourself. And the surprising part is that it isn't a symptom of anything coming apart. It's one of the most effective self control tools a human being has. And the version that sounds the most unhinged from the outside is the version that works the best. The easy explanation is that it's a quirk, harmless, a bit odd, faintly embarrassing, something you'd stop doing if you were more composed. That story has it exactly backwards, and the reason is that speech didn't evolve only to go outward. Language is a tool for organizing thoughts, not just for transmitting it. And once you have that tool, you can point it at yourself. You can instruct yourself, correct yourself, talk yourself down. Every one of those is a control system. And it turns out the control system works better when you say it out loud, and better still when you change one specific word. Here's what nobody tells you. Not all self-talk is the same. There's a version that soothes you and a version that eats you alive. And the difference between them is not the content, it's the pronoun. In 2014, a psychologist at the University of Michigan named Ethan Kross ran a set of experiments on something he called distanced self-talk. The setup was straightforward and slightly cruel. People were told they had 5 minutes to prepare a speech about why they were qualified for the dream job. They'd deliver it to a panel of judges. No notes. That's a reliable way to make a person's heart rate climb. While they prepared, half were told to reflect on their anxiety using the word I. Why am I feeling this way? What am I so afraid of? The other half were told to use their own name, or the word you. Why is Sarah feeling this way? What are you so afraid of? Same person, same fear, same 5 minutes, one word is different. The second group performed measurably better. Judges rated their speeches higher. They reported less anxiety going on. And afterwards, they ruminated less about how it went. Let that sink in, because it's strange. Changing a pronoun changed how well someone handled fear. Here's why it works. When you say I, you're inside the experience. There's no gap between you and the feeling. You're not observing the panic. You are the panic. The moment you say your name, you've created a tiny bit of distance. Grammatically, you've stepped outside yourself and become someone giving advice to a person you care about. And we are all vastly better at advising other people than we are at advising ourselves. You know this. You've watched a friend agonize over something and thought, this is obvious. Why can't you see it? Distanced self-talk borrows that clarity and points it back at you. Kross's work found this held up under real stress, not just laboratory stress. Same pattern, which produces something genuinely funny. The version of self-talk that looks most alarming from the outside, a person alone, using their own name, out loud, in the second person, is the most psychologically effective version there is. The thing you've been hiding is the thing that actually works. But, and this is the part that makes it a trade rather than a superpower, the same mechanism has a cost, and it isn't the one you'd expect. So what is actually going on in there, mechanically? The name for it is inner speech, and it is not decoration. It's a working part of how you think. The developmental psychologist Lev Vygotsky worked this out in the 1930s by watching children. Young kids narrate constantly. A 4-year-old, building a tower, will say the instructions out loud to themselves as they go. Put the big one down, now the small one. Vygotsky noticed something specific. That private speech increases when the task gets harder. Adults assumed it was babble. Vygotsky argued it was the opposite. The child was using language as a tool to steer their own behavior, borrowing the instructing voice they'd heard from adults and turning it on to themselves. And here's the part that matters. That speech doesn't disappear as we grow up, it goes underground. It becomes the running commentary in your head, which means your inner monologue is not a separate, mysterious thing. It's the 4-year-old's out loud instructions, driven inward and sped up. So, when you start muttering again, when the task gets hard, when you're assembling furniture, when you're lost, you're not regressing. You're pulling that tool back out to full size because the compressed version wasn't enough. That's why it spikes under difficulty. It's supposed to. There's a second effect too. Research on saying object names out loud while searching for something has found that speaking the word can help you find it faster. The sound seems to sharpen what you're looking for. Your voice acts as a pointer for your own attention. Now, the design flaw. Inner speech has no volume control and no editor. Whatever voice you're spoken to in, that's the voice that got installed. If a child was mostly instructed, you can do this. Try the big one first. The internal voice becomes a coach. If a child was mostly criticized, the same mechanism installs a critic, identical machinery, opposite content. And this is the real cost of self-talk, which is not that it makes you look strange. It's that rumination uses the exact same equipment. The looping, the rehearsing at 2 in the morning, the trial where you're the defendant, that's inner speech running with a hostile script. You can't switch off the mechanism. It's load-bearing. It's how you plan, how you focus, how you talk yourself through the hard thing. The only variable you can control is the pronoun and the tone. But knowing that does not make it easy. Because there is a question underneath all of this that most people never ask. Who taught you the voice? Because you did not choose it. Nobody sits down at 7 years old and selects a storyteller. You absorbed one from the people who spoke to you when you were too young to evaluate whether they were being fair. And that's why it's so hard to argue with. It doesn't sound like an opinion. It sounds like a fact in your own voice from inside your own head, the most trusted possible source. So, when it says you're being stupid, or you always do this, or of course that happened, you don't examine it, you just agree. It's you. Except it isn't. Not originally. Somewhere back there, that was someone else's sentence. Somebody's bad day, somebody's impatience, or their own inherited voice passed down, without either of you noticing. You just kept saying it after they stopped. And here's the tender part. The reason it stuck is that it worked. Being hard on yourself first meant nobody could get there before you. If you'd already said it, it couldn't be used against you. The voice was armor. It's still standing guard over a door that hasn't been threatened in 20 years. You don't have to silence it. You couldn't if you tried. It's the same machinery you think with. But you can notice once that the voice is not yours, that it was borrowed, and that a borrowed thing can be given back. The next time you catch yourself alone, saying something to yourself you would never say to someone you love, try their name instead of yours. Say it the way you'd say it to them. You'll find you already know how, you've just never pointed it inward. So here's the everyday version. You'll say, okay, out loud to signal to yourself that you're about to begin a task. You will then not begin the task. You'll open the fridge, forget why, and say, what was I, to an audience of condiments. You'll say, no, while watching a file upload as though your voice is load-bearing infrastructure. You'll say your own full name out loud, including the middle, in the tone of a disappointed school teacher. You'll conduct an entire argument in the shower, win it decisively, and then never have it. And you'll finish a hard task and quietly say, there we go, to nobody, which is, and I want to be clear on this, you're congratulating yourself, and it's the healthiest thing in the entire list. So, what's the one thing you say out loud when you're alone? The exact phrase. Drop it in the comments. I'll go first. Mine is alright, alright, alright. 3 times, always 3, which apparently means I'm about to open a spreadsheet. So here's where it all comes down to. Talking to yourself was never a sign that something was wrong. It's a tool you were handed as a child and never put down. Language, pointed inward, used to steer yourself. The 4-year-old saying the instructions out loud didn't stop. They just got quieter. And when it's hard, the volume comes back up. That's not a malfunction. That's the tool being used at full size. The only thing worth changing is the pronoun and the tone. Not I, but you. Not what is wrong with me. It's what do you need right now. It feels ridiculous. It works anyways. That's the whole finding. And if the voice you've got in there is unkind, that isn't a verdict on you. It's a recording. It can be recorded over, slowly, badly, one sentence at a time, in the kitchen, out loud, with nobody watching. The goal was never to stop talking to yourself. It's to notice, finally, that you get to decide who's doing the talking. If the way your mind runs these patterns pulls at you, there's a video right here on people who don't talk much. The same voice, kept so carefully inside that it never quite makes it out. And if you want more of this, subscribing takes about 2 seconds. You can even say, okay, out loud first. It helps. Either way, thanks for being here.